ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Jessica Stratton-Smith and I am the chairman, and Owen Abella is the timekeeper. The adjudicator is Mr. McCaskill. The topic of this debate is that banning smoking in outdoor areas is the right decision. The affirmative team seated to my right is from St. Peter's Girls. The negative team seated to my left is from Nazareth Catholic College. The speaking time for this debate is 4 minutes. A single warning bell will sound 1 minute before the speaking time, and a double bell will sound at the speaking time. A continuous bell may be rung 30 seconds after the speaking time, in which case the speaker must sit down immediately. Please ensure that your mobile phones and other electronic devices are switched off. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Hannah Keogh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hannah, and tonight's topic is that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is the right decision. We, the affirmative team, strongly agree with this statement and define the topic to mean that banning, officially or legally prohibiting, smoking, the act of inhaling and exhaling the smoke of tobacco or drugs, in outdoor dining areas is the justified resolution. We believe that the banning of smoking in outdoor areas is considered to be the right decision if the decision benefits for the greater good of society. Tonight, as the first speaker, I will be discussing the health risks from passive smoking to the public, in particular dining customers and wait staff. Our second speaker will be talking to you about how smoking is out of date and how banning supports people who have given up smoking. And our third speaker will rebut and sum up our argument. My first point tonight is that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is the right decision, as it has been scientifically and medically proven that passive smoking is extremely harmful to our health. Passive smoking is the smoke inhaled involuntarily from tobacco being smoked by others. The health effect from inhaling someone else's smoke can be catastrophic. In adults, passive smoking increases a person's chance of developing heart disease, lung cancer, and can cause strokes. According to the Australian Cancer Council, compared with adults, children are even more susceptible to the effects of passive smoking due to their higher breathing rates per body weight, their greater lung surface relative due to adults, and the comparative immaturity of their lungs. In children, passive smoking can cause ear infections, increased severe asthma attacks, respiratory symptoms like coughing, sneezing, and shortness of breath, respiratory infections like bronchitis and pneumonia, and a greater risk of sudden infant death syndrome. There is also a growing body of evidence linking passive smoking to both brain tumours and acute leukemia in children. According to the National Cancer Institute, since 1964, approximately 2.5 million non-smokers have died from health problems caused by exposure to passive smoking. When smoking is allowed in outdoor dining, it puts non-smoking customers in a position where they are exposed to these detrimental effects. We, the affirmative team, believe that when someone's actions may result in an innocent person's ill health or even death, that is a reason enough to justify the ban of smoking in outdoor dining areas. My second point tonight is that passive smoking is damage to not only customers, but also people working in the hospitality industry. The opposition might try and tell you that non-smoking customers can choose to sit inside if they feel concerned about others smoking and the risks it poses to their health. But this does not take into account the hard-working wait staff who do not get the choice to simply move inside. The wait staff are paid to serve everyone in the establishment, whether they sit inside or outside. In addition to the health risks already discussed, the staff would be exposing themselves to smoking. The staff would be exposing themselves to the health risks already discussed. Many would soon find themselves without a job if they refused to serve customers who smoke. Before the new law banning in outdoor smoking dining areas came to an effect, wait staff were continually exposed to the damaging effects of passive smoking. In 2001, an Australian employee successfully sued her employer, claiming that her throat cancer was caused by breathing in smoke while working in a bar outdoors between 1984 and 1995. The waitress, who has never smoked herself, used to serve drinks and was constantly exposed to the smoke of customers. Passive smoke affects employees' health and well-being, and for this reason, we, the affirmative team, believe that it is a justified reason to ban smoking in outdoor dining areas. In conclusion, for health risks that employees and customers are exposed to, banning outdoor smoking was undeniably a justified resolution. Thank you for listening.
I now call upon the first negative speaker, Dennis Fecklestone.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of our debate is that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is the right decision. We, the negative team, strongly disagree with this proposition. We disagree with the definition given by the affirmative team because it does not adequately describe outdoor dining areas. And we'll be using the following definition for our debate. Outdoor dining, as defined by the South Australian legislation, is the consumption of non-snack food in a public outdoor area designed for the immediate consumption of food. A ban on smoking in outdoor dining areas outlaws smoking in these areas, but does not include a number of various circumstances in which smoking is in fact allowed while in these areas, which I'll get to in my first point. Today, as the first negative speaker, I'll be talking to you about how the current legislation in South Australia banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is flawed, and how independent businesses should have the right to decide how to run their business to best satisfy their customers. The second speaker will be talking about how the ban is a knee-jerk reaction to a larger issue, and how other legal substances can cause more harm than smoking. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that passive smoking can cause detrimental effects to people, especially if they're exposed in outdoor dining areas, as they say. However, passive smoking requires a prolonged exposure, and you'd have to be at a restaurant or outdoor dining area in like the smoke of somebody sitting next to you for days on end, week by week, for it to have a serious effect. Or you'd have to be working in an area where smoking isn't already banned indoors or outdoors. Which means the only people affected by this are people who have put themselves in the situation where they're being exposed to this day by day. My first point is that the current legislation in South Australia banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is flawed. Everyone knows that smoking is an issue, there's no question about it. However, the recently legislated ban on smoking in outdoor dining areas is severely flawed, confusing, and unworkable. The issue is in the wording. And now some would claim that there's no problem with the wording, it's pretty plain and simple, right? Well, actually there's a pretty big problem. The South Australian legislation for the ban on smoking in outdoor dining areas defines outdoor dining as eating food within an area intended for the public consumption and purchasing of food. This definition, however, specifically states that outdoor dining does not include eating snacks or drinking in an outdoor area. What does this mean? It means that under the government definition, any food eaten that doesn't classify under one of the main meal categories, such as prepackaged meals or a snack or a drink, is excluded from the ban, and smoking is completely allowed in these areas. The ban also allows smoking at particular times, such as when the kitchen isn't in operation. It also states that an area must have permanent tables, so smoking is fine if an area doesn't have tables or if you're just standing up, or if you're just having a drink. This ban is extremely vague, and its application can be very confusing. Because of the government definition of this legislation, the problem of smoking in outdoor dining areas isn't fixed at all. Now on to my second point. Independent businesses should have the right to decide how to run their business to best satisfy their customers. Now some might think, what better way to solve an issue than to flat out ban it, right? Wrong. And here's why. Since smoking is a big issue for non-smokers, it should be up to the individual establishments to create an environment for the overall benefit of the customers. Businesses should offer customers the choice between non-smoking and smoking areas. If people are troubled by passive smoking, which not everyone is, they could go to areas which prohibit it. If people don't mind or do smoke themselves, they could go to an area which doesn't prohibit it. An outright ban only helps the majority. Instead, the views and concerns of everybody can be freely satisfied without the need for such measures. After all, smoking is still legal, and people deserve the choice. So to conclude, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we, the negative team, believe that a ban on smoking in outdoor dining areas is a flawed and inappropriate decision in a democratic society where people can make their own choices. Thank you.
I now call upon the second affirmative speaker, Paris Robinson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paris, and as second speaker tonight, I'll be addressing the social side of smoking in dining areas. This will relate to how restaurants will lead their way in changing the attitude towards smoking and how it helps support social smokers to quit. Before I start, I'm going to point out some flaws in the opposition's argument. The opposition has stated that you must be with the smokers week by week to be effective. We disagree, as it has been researched and proven that it takes 20 minutes for secondhand smoke to impact and harm you. The opposition has stated that smoking is still legal and people should have the choice, and that businesses should have the choice to decide whether they allow smoking. We believe that whilst you do have the freedom to choose what you do with your business and yourself, this choice should not impact the people around you or you serve if they choose to smoke. Smoking is a choice that is one of the harmful choices you can make to the people around you, as Hannah has said with secondhand smoking. And if it is a personal choice, you should be doing it in a personal place. Now on to my first point. In the 21st century, it is clear that smoking is out of date. Since decreasing 50% in usage from the late 1950s to late 1990s, tobacco use has continued to fall an additional 7%, according to the Australian Department of Health. This is not only due to changing trends, but also the understanding of health risks caused by tobacco. A study conducted by the Royal Society for Public Health found that in the UK, where smoking in outdoor dining areas is prohibited, found that the ban strongly contributed to smoking becoming less acceptable in society. This means by banning smoking in outdoor dining areas, it becomes less of an acceptable activity, which is an important step in reducing not only the current smoking rate, but also the rate of starting smoking, as they are more likely to perceive smoking as unhealthy, as found by the University of Montreal. The ban of smoking in outdoor dining areas will have a positive immediate effect and long-term effect, as it will prevent younger generations from taking up smoking. For these reasons, this ban benefits the greater good of society and clearly proves why banning smoking in outdoor dining areas was the right decision. On to my second point, that this ban supports people quitting smoking. The amount of people quitting is increasing already because they have prohibited smoking in cars, workplaces and bars. It is especially beneficial to smokers who only smoke socially. Although they may only smoke once or twice a week, studies conducted by the Cancer Council demonstrate that they are still likely to be more at risk from cancer, heart disease, lung disease and other tobacco-related illnesses. Over 1.5% of Australians smoke socially, and by banning smoking in outdoor areas, this number is set to decrease, as they are drastically less appropriate venues for people to smoke socially. This has been especially seen in the UK. Banning smoking in outdoor places in the UK in 2007 led to a direct decrease in the number of cigarettes smoked by social smokers. This correlated with the 40% decrease in the number of heart attacks caused by smoking, as studied by the National Health Service. This proves banning smoking in outdoor dining areas was the right decision, as it will not only assist social smokers to quit, but also reduces the contribution and part of the culture of social smoking. In conclusion, it is now clear that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas was the right decision, as it benefits the greater good of society. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Cash Abadani.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. As you've already heard many times today, the topic of our debate is that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is a right decision. We as a negative team believe that this is a wrong decision. The second affirmative speaker has tried telling you that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas will make people quit. Well, most people who smoke do this with their own decision and do this with their choice. The second affirmative speaker has also tried telling you that smoking in outdoor dining areas is a massive problem. Well, if it's such a massive problem, why didn't the government just ban smoking in general? It's still legal. And also, the second affirmative speaker has also mentioned how smoking is in other areas. But the topic is about a specific smoking area. Today I'll be talking about how the ban was placed by the government and it was a knee-jerk reaction to a much bigger issue. The fact that a ban was placed to please the majority while not taking into account the views and opinions of the minority, and in this case, it's the smokers. We as a negative team understand the dangers and risks of smoking. We're not saying it's good, we're just saying that banning it is not the right decision. Most people who smoke do it with their own decision. And just like the times, smoking has adapted. Before, smoking was something that everyone did without consequence. But nowadays, most people who smoke understand the consequences and know the correct smoking etiquette while smoking in public places without disturbing others. On to my second point. The ban itself is unfair, as other legal substances, such as alcohol, get a free pass, even though alcohol has been proven to cause more disturbances than smoking. 16.3% of Australians aged 18 to 44 smoked every day. That's a lot of people. And to just place a ban on that for them to smoke outside, that's not the right decision. The second affirmative is also telling that secondhand smoke is very dangerous, but they have stated no source for this research. However, alcohol-related violence is much higher. One in 4 people experience alcohol-related verbal abuse. 13% were made fearful by people under the influence of alcohol, and 4.5% were physically abused by people under the influence of alcohol. And all these statistics were found off the Australian Institute of Criminology. While the chance of you developing a medical condition from secondhand smoke is much lower, according to the Australian Cancer Organisation. As said before, more than 15% of Australians aged 18 to 44 smoke daily. That is a lot of people, and these people choose to smoke. They do this on their own terms. And there's no right for the government to ban these people from smoking. And most of these people who smoke do it to release tension or do it socially. And to ban, as they said themselves, 1.5% of Australians smoke socially. To ban this is not the right decision, as this is the people's choice. And as a democratic nation, we should not be taking power away from the people, and we should give it to them. Also, we should designate areas for smoking and not for smoking, as most independent businesses know their target demographic, and to just place a ban blanketing almost all restaurants and outdoor dining areas is not the right decision, as independent businesses should have the choice to place the ban themselves. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Ellen Zhang.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I summarise all the important points our team has stated tonight, I would like to point out some obvious flaws in the opposition's case. The first speaker of the negative team stated that companies have the right to choose how to run their company, and therefore banning smoking is bad for the company. Well, we completely disagree by this point raised by the opposition. Studies by the Australian Bureau of Statistics has demonstrated that non-smoking venues make a higher profit over the year than smoking venues. Additionally, if restaurants were to suffer, which has not been demonstrated in other countries that it does not, the effect would be the same, as all restaurants have banned outdoor dining areas smoking. And obviously, from hearing this, that if smoking in outdoor dining areas is affecting the amount of people going to the outdoor dining areas, obviously banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is the right choice for the companies. The opposition has also stated that people choose to go to places so you can avoid people who smoke. This is ridiculous. Why should people have to move so that a person can enjoy smoking in a public area and knowing that it is not an appropriate place to do so? It is not right for one to be allowed to smoke in a public area and expect others to be fine with it or move if they're not. The second speaker on the negative team has stated that people have the right to choose whether to smoke or not. However, decisions have been made in other public areas for the safety of both customers and employees. Why should outdoor dining areas be any different? These decisions are made for the good of society and so that society can move forward for the safety of others. Personal choice is important, but not when it puts other people's health at risk. Additionally, a survey from the Department of Health revealed that 42% of children stated that cigarette smoke made them feel ill and 41% stated that cigarette smoke made them cough. How about people serving customers? How about the customers? They have a right to be in a comfortable position when dining in an outdoor dining area too. Additionally, the second speaker on the negative team stated that if smoking in outdoor dining areas is so bad, why didn't the government just ban it? It is not just about the smokers themselves, but the people that it is affecting, as proved by our first speaker already. Additionally, the second speaker on the negative team stated that alcohol affects more people than smoking. Well, alcohol, if consumed, doesn't affect others. It may affect yourself. However, smoking, when you were to smoke, passive smoking can have a detrimental effect on others, such as customers and waitstaff. I will now summarise the important points our team has stated tonight. Our first speaker, Hannah, has talked to you all about the health risks from passive smoking to the public, in particular dining customers and waitstaff. She has discussed to you all about how it has been scientifically and medically proven that passive smoking is extremely harmful to our health, and additionally how passive smoking is damaging to not only customers but to also people working in the hospitality industry. Our second speaker, Paris, has addressed the social side of smoking in dining areas. She spoke about how restaurants will lead the way in changing the attitude towards smoking and how banning smoking in outdoor dining areas helps and supports the social smokers to quit. She explained how if smoking in outdoor dining areas were banned, smoking would become less of an acceptable activity, which is an important step in reducing not only the current smoking rate, but also the rate of people starting smoking. So, ladies and gentlemen, we as the affirmative team strongly agree that banning smoking in outdoor dining areas is the right decision. Thank you.
I now call upon the third negative speaker, Jamal Anker.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Timekeeper, Adjudicator, ladies and gentlemen. As you have heard a number of times already, the topic for our debate is that banning smoking in outdoor areas is the right decision. We, the negative team, have put forward some strong evidence to convince you that this is definitely not true. Our definition supports that there are a number of reasons why banning smoking in outdoor areas is the wrong decision. In addition to my team's main points, I would also like to say that we acknowledge smoking is a bad habit and have never said against it and causes many diseases and deaths. But the proposed banning of smoking in outdoor dining areas is government control gone too far. The first speaker has tried to tell you about the health risks, but we're not saying smoking isn't bad, as I've already mentioned. She said that 2.4 million people have died from passive smoking. There's no source. If someone walked up to you and said that 2.4 million people have died, would you put up with this without any proof, which is their source? Would you accept this? We're not saying it's bad, but all of you have explained is how it is bad to people, but people have freedom of choice. Most restaurants have only a zoned off section to smoke. Business like restaurants have a right to choose how to run their business. Just like people have freedom of right to move away. It's not the end of the world if you breathe in some cigarettes. You always have the right to move away. You don't have to eat at the same place every time or near people who smoke. The second speaker has tried to tell you that just by sitting next to a passive smoker, breathing it in for 20 minutes can impact you, yet there was no source. It will have a long-term effect, stopping younger generations smoking, but how? And they've also tried to tell you that it helps addicts quit, but how? I'll further these points in rebuttal. They said in 20 minutes that it can have bad effects on you. Would you believe that yet again, where they have no proof? And the proof in this instance is the source. They've still not presented a source. That she has also said that it will stop younger generations. It will stop younger generations from smoking. Again, how? There is no evidence. There's just no evidence in any of these points to support this. Our second speaker said developing a medical condition from smoking is lower chance than getting abused by someone with alcohol, according to cancer.org. According to cancer.org. They said people cannot be abused by alcohol, yet more people have been abused by drunk people than people developing a medical condition, as I said, according to cancer.org. She's also said that it helps addicts quit. And again, where's this evidence? Their third speaker has stated that we have stated that the banning of smoking is bad for businesses, but we have not. Where have any of our speakers stated this? They have not said in our first or second speaker. They have said that getting ill is more likely, that you are more likely to get ill by sitting next to a smoker just breathing in the fumes. But getting ill is inevitable. Yet again, coming back to my point that you have freedom and the right to move away. Our first speaker has spoke about the inconsistencies of the proposed government ban on smoking in outdoor dining areas, as outdoor dining areas only cover the three main daily meals of breakfast, lunch and dinner. This means that the rules can be easily misinterpreted and that confuse smokers as to whether they're actually allowed to engage in this full, completely legal act of smoking a cigarette. He also spoke about how alternative arrangements to be more inclusive of minority groups. Our second speaker spoke about how the legislation, it is also conveniently glosses over how other legal substances which can cause more damage are not banned in outdoor dining areas despite the proven disruption they can cause to health and well-being around those in a greater extent. So Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we would say that banning smoking in outdoor areas is the wrong decision.
Please wait while the adjudicator finalise the result.